Welcome to Inside Inspired Women. On the show, we're going to discuss the journey to inner peace and inspiration. And our goal is to encourage, uplift, and inspire women everywhere. I'm your host, Dr. Tabatha Russell. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Tabatha Russell, and you are listening to the Inside Inspired Women podcast, where we endeavor to help those that are looking to become the better version of themselves. We talk with you on topics that from around the country that you can think of that will help you to become the better leader, to enlighten yourself with tools and strategies to help you to now build on your current business or expand your business. We cover it all here. So today is no exception. I have the amazing opportunity to be interviewing Miss Julia Mikk. She is so amazing. She was born in Estonia and now living in America. She is an internationally renowned speaker, the #1 Wall Street Journal bestselling author, CEO of SOLignment Institute, as well as the founder of SOLignment Technology. During the last 25 years, she has worked with thousands of leaders worldwide, helping them step into their power to create legacy, wealth, and the levels of impact that they desire. Many people have said it's like no other coaching style out there. Julia's expertise in the nervous system, executive leadership, biodynamic cranial therapy, and SOLignment breath process creates incredibly efficient and quick results, allowing her to clear out even the most, and I am saying the most, ingrained self-sabotaging behaviors, dissolving mental blocks, and shifting one's brainwave patterns into enhanced performance in the way that it lasts. Can I just say, welcome today, Miss Julia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. So good to be here.
You are most welcome. Can I just say that after reading your bio, I could not wait to jump into this conversation on today because it is so intriguing just to hear all of the things that you help people with and how it is that you help them to overcome some of those self-sabotaging behaviors. So can you tell us just a little bit more about why you decided to go down this path? What makes you so excited about helping people with this now technology?
Wow, it has been a long journey. I started myself pretty young because I was suffering from a lot of self-hatred. I was anorexic. I grew up in an alcoholic family. My mom was deeply depressed. So it just all resulted in me being depressed and not knowing where I belonged. But something at the back of my mind kept telling me that something better must be possible. Something better must be possible. I'm so grateful for that inner voice. Like, I didn't just kill myself because it was hard. Like I knew something better must be possible. So I started reading books and going to the workshops and going to seminars and like learning and growing. I imagine as your audience is right now doing a lot. And I came across this one weekend workshop on breath, and it changed my life. Like we went through these experiential nervous system regulating exercises using the breath. And it was like deepest spiritual awakening I ever thought was even possible. Like I had read in the books that you can enter these altered states of consciousness, of peace, love, power. And I found it through my own body, through my own being. And once I awakened in that way, I realized, oh my God, this is all that matters. What else could be more important? Like I need to remember who I am in my true power, in my true purpose, in my true capacity to love. So I dedicated myself to learning more about the breath, about the nervous system, about trauma healing. And my, what I call inner alignment kept expanding into greater capacity, not just for my own self, but also eventually to hold space for others. Because at one point I had to ask myself, what do I want to do for a living? Like, what do I really want to do in this lifetime? And I couldn't think of anything better than this, like wake people up to their true power. And as I continued on my journey of working with people all over the world, I felt most drawn to coaches, therapists, visionaries, change makers, and they were drawn to me. So my workshops were usually filled with people who were already healing and helping others. And then it became really clear that my gift is exactly to help them, because even though they were helping others, they were often suffering the most. They didn't make enough money, or they were burned out, or they were sick, or they were exhausted. And now I'm so passionate specifically about helping the change makers because, hey, if you have a big purpose, let's make sure you live it fully and truly change this world for the future generations the way you're meant to.
Wow, that is amazing. I just recently went through of course, I am very big on self improvement, as well as just I'm a avid lifelong learner. And so over the course of time, I found that you were talking about the breath work, right? And just meditation for me has been game changing. Just really being able to sit with your thoughts and just clear your mind has just been amazing. And even on this morning, I went through an exercise. We were studying one of the success laws. And wow, can I just say that the exercise that we went through was like, oh my gosh, this is really wonderful. So I will say that I am 110% in agreement with you that breath work and really studying yourself and sometimes your habits is everything. So, with that though, I know that you integrate in your SOLignment breath process and the nervous system with you being an expert. Can you walk us through how these two elements interact to create lasting transformation, basically in your clients' lives?
Yeah. So what happened was that I started with my journey with a certain kind of breath that I ended up calling alignment breath. I had a series of what I call spiritual awakenings, or just these realizations of how one can have profound breakthroughs through breath. And they ended up calling it alignment breath process. And for the first about 10 years of my career, this is all I did. And people had truly profound realizations about who they were. Like they were releasing all the grief that their therapist couldn't help them release. Pain from the body was leaving that doctors couldn't even explain. Like, how could this pain just go so quickly? That's not possible. You know, like miraculous healings were happening because we were liberating the life force energy through people's meridian system. So meridian system is the terminology that they use in Chinese medicine, where often our energy meridians are blocked, and that's why we feel tired or sick or ill. But the alignment breath process, we could unblock that force of energy, and then incredible amount of vibrancy, thriving, power, confidence comes from it. So I did that for 10 years and people were blown away. But then I started noticing that not everyone was able to sustain and maintain this incredible awakened state of power. And that became concerning. Like, what was the point of this powerful awakening if you don't know how to live it in your everyday life? And then I went into deep search mode into what does it actually mean to anchor in and embody this new capacity to bring forth our power, our success, our gifts, our service, especially as coaches and facilitators in the world. And then I launched the next stage of the work that's called alignment embodiment process. And that actually is now my most popular body of work, even though alignment breath process is still very widely known. But alignment embodiment process is really how do we live our life continuously from this aligned state of power, confidence, energy, vibrancy, belief in ourselves, and being able to create the kind of reality we actually want. So it takes something I call power. And in alignment embodiment work, we do bring in a lot of the nervous system regulation. So what makes SOLignment embodiment process very different from any other modality I know out there, even though there are many amazing ones nowadays out there, is that in SOLignment embodiment facilitation, we do several dimensions of work simultaneously. And that's why the new energetic and psychosomatic alignment can get like locked in. Locked in might feel like too rigid, but like it can be embodied and anchored in. So nervous system regulation is one dimension, very important. Most people, especially in America, are completely dysregulated and they don't even know. So nervous system regulation, subconscious reprogramming, very important. So I see so many clients of mine who come to me and they're like, well, I know I have to break that pattern and I know I have to get out of that habit, but I can't. My business coach said to me, I should be doing these 3 things. Why am I not doing them? I know I should be taking this action, but I'm not taking it. So just because somebody knows what they should do doesn't mean they can do it, right? I'm sure Tabatha, you can find it in yourself, and I can find it in me. We are humans, but all these causes are in the subconscious. We must learn a way to go to the subconscious level to reprogram those actual root causes for our limitations. So that's a big dimension of SOLignment embodiment technology. And then the third one that I have to name is epigenetics. In my 25 years now of experiencing this work, I see again and again that a lot of limitations come from our ancestral lineage, and many people don't know it. And these are usually the most mysterious problems where somebody truly doesn't understand. Like, for instance, when my clients come and they say, I'm doing everything correctly in my business, I'm doing everything by the book, I'm doing everything my business coach said I should be doing, I'm still losing money. Like, what the heck? Like, I don't even understand. I'm doing everything right, still not making money, or I'm still hiring the wrong people, or I'm still somehow burning myself out. Like, what's the actual reason here? And very often in those mysterious problems that's hard to see, it's because it's our ancestral lineage, our epigenetics that create those limiting tendencies and limiting decisions in our life. Very important level to work on.
Wow.
And there are actually 7 dimensions. I'm not going to name all 7 dimensions all right now, but I'm going to name the 4th one just to give a more comprehensive sense of the technology. And it's the clear executive decision making and action taking that's important, because I've seen a lot of healing modalities or talk therapy, they leave you in a blissful state. They're like, oh, now you feel confident, but now what? You have no action plan. You don't know what to do next. You don't know the right steps to take next. So in SOLignment process, we first find this powerful alignment and clarity and true potency to move forward without fear. But then we also create a clear action plan. So what are those steps you're taking, and making sure the person is taking them. So it's like a mix of therapy, coaching, psychosomatic rewiring all in one. And that's why the results are so quick. And that's why the results last.
Wow. Can I just say, sign me up, right? Like, this is so good.
Sign me up. Sign me up. Sometimes I'm reading my own website. I'm like, oh my God, like sign me up. Where do I sign up? Yeah, because the work is so accelerated, and I desire for this work to get out to millions of more, because I see again and again people who are just stuck, and they're going to the therapist for years, or they're going to the coach for years, or they have the best business coach, but they're still stuck. And I'm like, dude, it's just because you haven't worked on the nervous system level, you haven't worked on subconscious level, and definitely you haven't worked on epigenetics level. Like, hey, like you need the correct support, and anything can open up in your life.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I believe it. And I call it programmed, right? Like, we as a society a lot of times are so programmed just to our environment, programmed from school, programmed just from the way that somebody else did it, and all of that. So I like when you started talking about the epigenetics and how we can learn so much from that and really learn how to get to the core of the problem, right? The root of where it's coming from. So I know that you've worked with thousands of people across the globe, but what are some of the common mental blocks you see in high achievers, right? Like, we like to say overachievers in some ways as well. But why do you think that they're so prevalent, even in the most successful individuals?
There are usually several main blocks I see. So definitely nervous system dysregulation. And the thing is that it's like an epidemic. People don't even know. It's like when everyone was smoking, many years ago, it's like, oh, smoking is fine. Nobody even knew that it was genuinely, dangerously threatening their health and well-being. And now we have this nervous system dysregulation epidemic that people don't know they're in. So they are burnt out, they're exhausted. All these high achievers, they're mostly burnt out, they're exhausted, they're on high levels of caffeine, they often take drugs, but then to settle at night, they have to drink alcohol, which means all these addictive tendencies kick in. So it actually doesn't have to be this hard. Like, I love high performers, I love high achievers, especially those with a big mission in life. I'm like, let's help you truly change this world. I'm on. But let's help you do it in a way where you don't sacrifice your health and well-being for it. Because the more healthy you are, the more energized you are, the more clear you are, the better decisions you can make for the world. So you being healthy is not even a personal, private issue. Like, if you're here to change the planet or the world for the future generations, you gotta be in your highest well-being possible, which means rest well, sleep well, deeply at peace in yourself, in your power at the same time, able to take action effortlessly without burning yourself out. So I'm all about expanding one's, I call it genius zone. When I teach at conferences, I have like a whole diagram I show where I show that there's a genius zone and everyone has a genius, but some genius zones are very narrow. People barely know what the genius even is. So the leaders I work with, they usually know what their genius is. They have amazing business. They might be millionaires, billionaires, beyond, but there's still a limit because their genius basically is wreaking havoc in their lives. So we have to expand the genius zone so they have more capacity to take action, more capacity to rest, and more capacity to bring out the brilliance. And the word is often ease. How can you do all of it with a lot more ease?
I love it. Ease is everything, I believe, because we don't sometimes, like you say, really recognize the markers, right? Like some of us, especially in that high achieving zone, are so focused on getting the mission done than we are
Yeah.
on really harnessing our health, our well being, getting proper rest and sometimes just really empowering those around us that we bring on, like our staff, for example, on letting them do what they need to do, right? And then sometimes if they come into a roadblock, right, like not be okay with stepping in there, but empower them to continue the task until completion, right? Like allowing them to learn the lesson too. So I love how you say that you build in and expand on that genius level with ease. And that to me is one of the things that I don't think we really think about, right? Like, how do we harness or really fully master these skills and do it in such a way that it brings us peace and comfort in being able to do so?
Yeah. And unfortunately, many of the leaders I know, and I was one of them many years ago,
Mm.
they wait until it's too late. They wait
Mm.
until they crash. They wait until they have a heart attack. Like, I know a wonderful man who was very successful running several businesses, and he was completely burnt out and he couldn't care less because he was so excited about the businesses and about the money. There's so much excitement. It's like a high. It's like an
Right.
adrenaline high. And he had to have a heart attack to
Wow.
start looking at his life being like, wait a second, maybe there's a different way to do it. And unfortunately, many of these leaders wait until it's that bad or until they get a cancer, until they get
Mhm.
into car accident, or they have drug overdose, and they keep telling them, you don't have to wait until it's too late. Like, start looking at your life now. If you're exhausted, if you feel even a little bit burnt out, this is the time to start reorganizing things. And the thing they like to hear the most is when I say, you know what? I promise to you, you will be actually more productive. You'll make more money when you learn to regulate your nervous system. You'll actually have more success. Do you want it? And now they're on board. They're like, okay, now I'm listening. And it happened for me. So this passion came specifically from my own personal experience, where about 15 or something like this years ago, I burned myself out. So I was already traveling the world. I was giving workshops in many countries, and people were blown away by my work, which was kind of seductive. It definitely fed my ego, like, oh, everyone is blown away. So that means I have to keep giving it. And I totally left myself out of the equation, which means I got sicker and sicker. I became severely bulimic, severely depressed, completely exhausted. Even that didn't stop me. I was like, whatever, I'm helping the world. I'm helping the world. So it doesn't matter that I'm like throwing up 2 times a day, 2 times or 3 times a day. But then I had the vision, and it was crystal clear vision. It came in like this deep inner knowing, and I had no doubt about it. And the vision said, Julia, if you do not stop now, you will get a cancer. You will get cancer. And the vision I was shown wasn't just some sweet little cancer, it was like dying from cancer. And that completely stopped me in my tracks. That was the moment I was willing to actually stop. And I realized I don't want to die from cancer. I was still young. I loved my life, even though I was depressed, but I didn't want to die. And I changed everything. I had to actually stop for 2 years to even recover from all those addictive mechanisms of overworking. I had to come out of bulimia. That was a massive project in itself. It took a long time to recover, but what I also realized during that time, that while I was recovering, I could help no one. So I was trying to help everyone, which made me completely stop in my tracks. I had to give everything up. I could not work anymore. I had to fully heal. And during that 2 years of healing, I could help no one. So my need to help wasn't actually able to come through. The way I was working wasn't sustainable. So now I say it often that if you truly want to help others, if you're truly kind, big-hearted being, you have to prioritize yourself first. You have to know how to keep yourself deeply, fully regulated on a nervous system level. You need to know how to stay in a state of balance and rest. And if you're drinking alcohol regularly or doing drugs or not sleeping well, these are the first signs that, hey, you're falling off the cliff here and you need support ASAP. So yeah, so that's why I'm very passionate about it. But that was a long way to answer your question, what high achieving leaders need and want. And this is one of them. And the second thing I must add, because it's prevalent, it's also an epidemic, especially in America. The second reason why high achieving people have problems is that they don't know how to receive support. It's like an illness itself. It's like a disease. It's not everywhere in the world. There's some countries that are much more likely to receive support and support one another. But in America, it's such a highly independent, individuated culture that people take pride in doing it alone and themselves. But do you know another interesting statistic about America? It's one of the top countries that uses the most antidepressants per capita. So can there be a correlation? I'd say there's a massive correlation.
Yes,
You don't know how
directly.
to receive support and you end up on antidepressants. That's pretty clear. So one of the first things I set up for the leaders I work with is, what are the support systems you need? The highest caliber, accurate support systems for you that you need. And that means correct team, correct personal life support, so it's not all on your shoulders, more delegation. Where do you need to say no? Where do you need to say yes? And it's It's really like an ability to let themselves be supported, which is easier said than done too, because there are subconscious programmings that might say, no, you should do it alone. Somebody's dad might have told them that it's not okay to be weak, and now they have learned to be always strong. So to create changes like that in one's life often requires us go a lot deeper, which means going into the subconscious and seeing what are the programs, what's the software that functions at that level, and then reprogramming it. Because only then the person can make real changes in their external reality.
Yeah, I agree that, a lot of times we operate so dysfunctionally that it becomes normal. And meaning that the feelings that we feel, the tiredness that we feel, the challenges that we may go through on a daily basis, I've seen it time and time again, even in my practice, where people have been challenged so long to where they don't know that there's actually a problem going on there. And it is detrimental, right? Like we're really leading to the disease coming in the body and all of that. And a lot of people don't know that a lot of times that stuff can be removed or, done away with at the root of it. However, taking the time to uncover and unpack all of that is something sometimes people don't want to hear, right? They don't want to hear that maybe you need to step away from the business. Can you imagine telling a high achieving person that you may need to step away for 2 years?
The
Why?
only way it works with them, the only way you can tell them that if you say, hey, by you implementing these new practices I'm giving you is going to make you more productive, is going to make you more money. That's the only way they're going to be willing. But it's also true. That is true, because when we regulate the nervous system and they step into more energy, more clarity, more precise decision making, it will result in more productivity, which means it will result in more income. I mean, that is inevitable. I just have learned to say it from the get-go to get them motivated to pay attention.
Well, I'm glad that you figured out how to make that work, because I promise you that's not an easy conversation to have. But at the end of the day, it can be life-saving, as well as it can do so much more for the business. So I understand that to be a really key factor in the person's self-development, like really for all of us, that this is something that we should do, whether it's on our list of things to do or we have the signs and the symptoms, right? Sometimes you can be dysfunctionally dysfunctional, um, and not have the signs be prevalent to you, but other people can identify it and they can see it. And so I believe that such work like this, and really going through and identifying with what it is that you have to offer, now helps to pull back those layers, right? Because we naturally, especially here in America, we're naturally ones that like to cover up stuff or sweep things under the rug or put it in the closet and say, oh, I'll deal with that later, and just keep going like as if it's going to change something. So help us to understand, though, in what ways does the SOLignment technology differentiate from other popular leadership or personal development methodologies? I mean, just of what you've shared here already today is definitely life-changing. However, I know that there's more layers to it. So can you share with us just a little bit about the differences?
Yeah, I'm going to boil it down to the three most essential things. As I mentioned, nervous system regulation. It's a real thing. It's a biological new capacity one needs to develop in the organism, like making the nervous system actually function differently, which means they're able to take more action with ease without burning themselves out. And they're able to rest deeper, which means they experience much deeper levels of rejuvenation, recalibration, and peace. So we need to stretch that. And in SOLignment technology, we know exactly how to teach the body how to do it. The second piece is what I mentioned, subconscious reprogramming. So if you're only talking to your coaches from the head about your problems, breaking habits, it takes way longer. to actually break those habits, because you'll notice you'll fall back into that same habit, and then you maybe judge yourself. You're like, I can do it better tomorrow. I'll do it better. It's so much work because you're struggling against a massive momentum that lives in your subconscious. Like, for instance, thinking of a client who wanted to lose weight, and her subconscious was saying it's not safe to lose weight. Like, it's not safe to lose weight because of the things that happened in her childhood. She believed wasn't safe to lose weight, like being a little bigger was the safe place to be. But her conscious mind said, no, no, it's fine. I can do it. I can do it. Like, better diet, better coach. Let me hire coach number 4. And she couldn't lose weight. And it was so much work. And when she came to me, it took us like 4 or 5 sessions. It was all shifted because we shifted the programming on a subconscious level. We shifted the underlying root belief that said it's not safe to lose weight. Now she lives with the root belief that losing weight is easy, wonderful, enjoyable, and safe. And it makes her make new choices and decisions that are easy to make. It's not struggle. And they see that especially with money making. Wealth is a very big part of my teaching in SOLignment Institute. I see this a lot there. I work with a lot of coaches, therapists, facilitators who come to me wanting to make more money, basically. Like, I want to serve the world and make more money. And then we look at what's actually in their subconscious, and they have so many limiting momentums there. Money is evil. It's not okay to be greedy. My mom said I'll never be successful. Whatever it is, my dad failed and filed for bankruptcy, and now I'm terrified of it happening to me. So many different things can be living in the subconscious. If you are not a millionaire right now, 100%, something lives in your subconscious that keeps you from stepping into it. So instead of hiring a business coach number 7, do the work on a subconscious reprogramming level. That's where I come in. And this is where my work shines the most right now. So these are the 2 that we bring in SOLignment process that are very unique. But the third one I have to mention that very much differentiates this work from all the other modalities I'm aware of is that we bring it on the level of soma, which means body, and embodiment. So once somebody has regulated the nervous system, has reprogrammed their subconscious, we teach the body to hold it and live in it continuously. It cannot be just a new concept in the head. It cannot be just what your talk therapist said, and now you have a new nice idea in the head. That idea will be flushed by your subconscious programming in no time. So the new alignment, new capacity must be embodied, which means the body, the muscles, the tissues, the bones, the hormones, the adrenals, the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, everything can work in harmony to hold this new you in place. Because the body is what's holding you in place. So that's the third very important pillar of the work. And when that is not brought in, the person cannot have lasting results, or they keep falling back into the old habits.
Yeah, I quite often like to reference it as the rubber band effect, right? Like we stretch out and we get to new places, we get to new heights, we're doing new things, we're having some new concepts, but what sustains that, right? Before you know it, we just shrink back into that comfort zone, the place of where we know that we're not challenged. There's no stress, no pull there. There's nothing that's helping us to go beyond our natural shape, our natural form. So I agree with you that there needs to be some changes that happens that helps people to stay in that place of growth, especially when you say that you want to achieve levels of wealth, right? Like, there's so much that needs to happen. However, it is so much easier today to achieve levels of wealth that is unimaginable than it was 20 years ago. However, those limiting beliefs, sometimes the structure and the support system that we have keeps many people in that same place. So I know that your journey started in Estonia, and it's brought you to international acclaim. So, how has your cultural background influenced your approach to leadership and personal transformation?
Hmm. How has my cultural background influenced my approach? Yeah, I have been in America over 20 years now, so like I have to like take myself back to Estonia to remember what was going on there. One thing I know about the Estonian culture, which I love, is that we have a lot of pride. We have just cultural pride. We're one of those pride people. Like we are Estonian, we are proud about it. I imagine that gave me like a backbone and belief that, yeah, there's something valuable and worthy over here. Like even when USSR came in, it was Estonia that started the revolution. And then Latvia and Lithuania followed. But Estonia started the revolution. It was called the Singing Revolution. um, but we said no, like, no, you're not gonna oppress us. Like, what the fuck? You're not gonna do this. Like, we are proud of who we are. So I think that is something that was in my bones that helped tremendously. But what was also in my bones was a lot of depression and communism and concentration camps. So this is something I have definitely needed to flush out of my system. And through my own healing work is actually how this alignment process was born, because I had to clear a lot of those programs for myself first, because I was very depressed. And, as I mentioned, when I was a teenager, I was depressed, anorexic, tremendous amount of self-hatred. Then later in life, I burned myself out. Then I became bulimic, again, depressed. So all these times of darkness and difficulty actually were opportunities for me to flush out of my system those limiting programs and those old limiting beliefs. Like my mom was in concentration camp. That was extremely limiting belief and memory that I carried in me that made it impossible to have any wealth in my life. So once I caught this inside of me and I realized, wow, this is what's running the show, I better clear it. And then I cleared it. Immediately more money started showing up, like within a week. It was like miracles, like immediately doorways open, new opportunities, new clients, more money. So through my own life, through my own clearing, through my own healing, really, I have learned the most about healing. And that's how SOLignment process was born. And of course, I've had other teachers who actually have taught me about other modalities. But I'd say the biggest learning for me has been through doing my own healing process to liberate myself from what was limiting me. And wealth was actually a very big part of my journey because I was at one point even homeless. So I have not always been wealthy. To get to this point of wealth, I had to do all the work I'm teaching now in this alignment process.
I'm almost speechless because part of it is that depending upon where you come from, right, people feel like obtaining wealth is impossible because of having humble beginnings and sometimes the challenges of life. However, you're living proof that it doesn't matter where you come from. It is about getting to the root cause of those beliefs and really working through those. And I believe that life has its way of being its own best teacher if we allow it. And so just going through life in itself allows you the opportunity, though, to see that there's a rainbow on the other side of through. But a lot of times we got to get through whatever the challenges are to get on the other side. And so I too myself made one decision, lost $500,000, ultimately everything that I owned, and I had four small babies at the time. So with that, had I allowed that to say that that was going to be my place in life, then I could have remained at that place of where limiting beliefs and lack could have really taken over. However, because I come from a strong background of we don't have quit. Like you tell us no, and it becomes our life mission to prove you wrong, right? Like no is not no. It's just no means not you, right? But no is next to us. Like, let's keep going. And so I know that you've seen tremendous success in helping leaders dissolve those self-sabotaging behaviors. What do you believe is the root cause of self-sabotage, and how can leaders start to recognize it within themselves? Like somebody that's listening today, how can they start to recognize that themselves?
Root of self-sabotage. I mean, I think most people know self-sabotage, right? You tell yourself you want to do something, you don't do it. Or, you give yourself a promise or a deadline and you don't get there. Or even simple things like, I know I have to exercise every day and I don't exercise only once a week. So there's some kind of limitation that interrupts your ability to move forward. I actually call them interruption imprints. So imprint is something that got imprinted upon you when you were growing up or through ancestral lineage, something that got imprinted upon you. It's not who you are. And then I call it interruption imprints because these particular imprints are interrupting your ability to reach your goal, or they interrupt your ability to reach your dream or make that extra $1 million in your company, whatever it is. So it's important to just, first of all, bring kindness to them, because one of the things that keeps people stuck is their own self-judgment. Like, again, I didn't exercise. Again, I didn't send that email. Again, I didn't make that phone call. And that on a nervous system level creates a collapse. It creates this state of collapse and exhaustion that makes it even harder to take action next time. So, like, for instance, when I worked with bulimia, I was really working this particular muscle because it was super important for me to not make my bulimia wrong. I binged, I threw up. That's okay. I still love myself. It's okay. I'm doing my best I can. I can have compassion for me. Tomorrow, I'll do my best to do something better. I'll do my best, see what happens. But this ability to be kind to ourselves, bring compassion to ourselves, actually gives us like tone and power and belief in ourselves. So many people don't understand that. They think that having compassion is like weakness. Oh, I get soft. But no, when you actually respect yourself, it gives you power. It gives you more belief in you. Like, you actually, on a subconscious level, believe that tomorrow you can, that you will be able to. But you are the one that feeds yourself those beliefs. So how do you attend to the very moment when you maybe made a mistake or self-sabotaged? What's your relationship to it? Can you forgive yourself? Can you respect yourself anyway? Because that sense of respect is paramount for you making a different decision tomorrow. So I would say that's number one that I have to say here. Second thing somebody listening to this right now can do right away is support. Receive support. So, two categories of support: personal support, like what or whom would help you regulate your nervous system, meaning rejuvenation, peace, release in a healthy way, without drugs, without alcohol, without porn, without watching Netflix for 10 hours, actual healthy way to rejuvenate. What helps you with that? Do you have those support systems in place? That's one. And then the second category of support is business. Do you have the correct team? Have you hired correct people who actually know how to support you? Or did you just hire some random people and paying them a ton of money, but still not feeling supported, still feeling overwhelmed? Well, let's change that. You need correct people in correct positions to support you. And then second part of this, delegation. When correct people are in place, how much can you let yourself lean on their support? And that's often easier said than done because of all the subconscious programs we just talked about. I should be always strong. I should be invincible, not okay to ask for help. So you must release those programs and get whatever coach, healer, therapist you need to release those programs, because you deserve support. But even now, just listening to this right now, start thinking, where could you start receiving even just a little bit more support, even like 1 ounce more? Like just plant those seeds in your mind that you can receive more support. It does not have to be all on your shoulders. It does not. And trust yourself. Like even maybe right now, already a new idea just popped into your mind. Somebody to hire, a massage therapist, pedicure, whatever it is for you. SOLignment, embodiment facilitator, a program, a community that supports you and holds you. So there are many different levels of support. I'm not going to go through all of them now, but to simplify, it's two categories: personal, what helps you thrive in personal life, and business, who and what is required for you to be a lot more at peace, a lot more at ease in your business. And very often, both categories include some kind of coach or some kind of facilitator, somebody who can show you the way into the territory where you have never been before.
I like how you put that when you started talking about peace and ease, right? And bringing in that support system for you. I know that I've seen and worked with a lot of people that are very close chested with their business, meaning that, I don't want to give you all the secret sauce to my business because you're going to take it from me and you're going to, go and run with my proprietary information. Well, no, this is where, having that peace and that ease within yourself allows you to kind of let that go because, if it was given to you to start that business and you've truly put in the work, you have the education that goes along with it, you can always take that education because nobody can take that from you. And you could be successful with what it is that you have on the inside. But also, I believe that the reason why we're successful business owners is that we've learned how to hire the right people or have the right support system and those around us, even working within the business, that they're qualified enough to be able to work the business while we concentrate on working on the business and not in the business, right? So it definitely takes on a different look and tone for us that know differently versus those that are still trying to figure all of that out. And that's where having that coach and that person that can help you to navigate that makes all the difference in the world. And I would say I'm firsthand believer that having somebody that knows just a little bit more than you do helps you to navigate the pitfalls of business and success in being wealthy or having generational wealth. It used to be just a goal to be a millionaire, right? Forget that. Like, what does generational wealth look like, right? Because $1 million is not what it used to be. By the time you buy a house, get the car that you want, pay your taxes, that $1 million does not look like what it did when you first got it. So it
And
definitely.
one thing I want to add to this topic, because it's such a
Mhm,
good topic about the right team to support the
mhm,
leader,
mhm.
um, it really shows the leader their subconscious programming. It's really fascinating how the team becomes a mirror. And often the leaders don't even notice it and don't even think about it until they keep hiring the wrong people. Like I was working with someone who was hiring for the same position again and again, somebody who wasn't competent. And he was like, what the heck? I don't even understand. I'm firing, hiring, firing, hiring. Like, is there truly nobody competent for this one simple position? And that's when she came to me. Usually people come to me when they're just given up on all other coaches. And he came to me because he was wondering what was inside of him creating the same repeating situation. And it was crystal clear. Already in the first session, it became clear that inside of him, he believed that he didn't deserve to be supported in this part of his life. He believed he had to be always strong, always invincible. Nobody was competent. Nobody could help him. This idea came from his childhood when he was a baby and nobody was there to actually hold him because both of his parents had been very overwhelmed after birth, and nobody was there to hold him. So his whole nervous system grew into this shape that there's nobody competent to support me. But can you see the magnitude of that support, or I'm sorry, of that pattern? If he believes that pattern, he will never hire he'll never hire the correct person. He will keep hiring the people to prove his existing bias correct. He will always keep hiring the incompetent ones because this is what his level of belief is. So once we realized it and did a series of sessions to clear that belief from his subconscious and from his nervous system and from his body, the very next hire was the perfect hire. And there was ease in his being, in his life because of that. But he had to do the inner work first.
Mm. This is so great. And I don't know about our audience today, but I'm even learning some things about how it is that those subconscious biases show up, sometimes in the most inopportune way. So I mean, I can only imagine what that person was going through when you're hiring the same type of person and not really realizing it until you do the work, right? And I want to say that self-work is everything. You want to make sure that you're in the most optimum positioning ever so that you can be the most effective, right? And until we really start to break that down and really learn the different layers to us, will we potentially go after the levels of success that we really truly want. And sometimes we can have a picture of that, but it can be a false sense of self-worth if we're not careful, right? So I definitely believe that what it is that you offer is so invaluable. So I will say, first of all, thank you so much for sharing all the information that you shared on today. I know that you are a wealth of knowledge. So I would definitely love to have you back on the show again. I do have two other things. One is that could you share with that person that is in that place now that's thinking about moving forward to achieve their levels of success? How is it that, what advice would you give them? I would say more so than how is it, but what advice would you leave with them? And then also, how is it that people can connect with you to find out more about your soul alignment technologies and your breath process as well?
Great. So the first question was, how can the leader listening to this move forward into the next goal they have, what they want to
Yes.
create?
Yes.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Mm-hmm. I think I'll go back to what I named to really bring it home. Like, be kind to yourself. Do not judge yourself for your mistakes. And I actually don't even believe in mistakes. I believe everything that happens is an opportunity for your learning, growth, and expansion. So really be kind to yourself and respect yourself, no matter if you do something that you call a mistake, and keep moving forward. And the second part is, please let yourself receive more support. Stop doing it alone. And if you think you have received if you think you have received a lot of support already, great. Receive even more. Receive higher caliber support, maybe more professional support. That's really the key. I would not be here without these two things: respecting myself and learning to respect myself more and more, and receiving and investing in tremendous amount of support. So that's the answer to that question. And how you can be in touch with me, I think the best way is through me giving you a gift. I want to give you a gift to my ebook. And by signing up to the ebook, you'll immediately be added also to my list. You can always unsubscribe if you want. And of course, you can reach out to me directly too. I just want to give you the gift because that's where you can continue learning what we started here today. And then if you have any direct questions immediately, by all means. So the direct email is support@solignment.com. Support@solignment.com. SOLignment.com. And then the ebook is called Leave Your Clients in Awe. And this is very much the topics that we covered today, plus more. It's mainly meant for coaches, therapists, facilitators, anyone who is in a role of creating transformation. Could be for yoga teachers, for executive coaches. If you are in a role of transforming lives, this ebook is specifically written for you. So you'll read some of what we talked about today, and you'll also learn a lot more. So highly recommend it. Leave your clients in awe.
Oh, I love it. Just the name, leave your clients in awe, is like, yes, I'll take 2 of those, please, and thank you.
Because so many coaches struggle. They have great tools, they have great skills, but they get frustrated because the same clients come back with the same issues. I hear so much frustration from coaches. Or some clients are challenging, and then the coach or the therapist feels overwhelmed and then drained by it. Like, how do you work with the challenging client? So I want to make all therapists, coaches, facilitators' life a lot easier. Let your gifts come out fully, powerfully, so you can create great wealth for you, but so you could also serve on a global scale. So that's
Yeah.
why I wrote that.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today. This has been so amazing. And just the information that you shared has been transformational. So I would tell our audience to please, please, please go out to support@SOLignment.com to reach out to learn about the different programs that Miss Julia has, as well as don't forget to sign up for that ebook, because that ebook is going to be the thing that's going to be life changing for you. And you do not want to miss out on that. As well as we're going to have you back, because I know that there's some more interesting information that you can share with us as well. It's been a pleasure. And thank you so much for joining us.
And I want to also name that the website is SOLignment.com, because I didn't say that. That's an immediate place where everyone can learn more. Emailing is welcome too, but the website is SOLignment.com.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, you heard it here first. Go out and check out SOLignment.com. Thank you so much, Miss Julia. It's been a pleasure to have you, and we'll have you back again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.